What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush. Let's talk Jets. Happy Friday. Hope everybody had an excellent week. Thank you to everybody that's been helping out my fundraiser. I'm 1 week away. Raised over $2,000 so far. So I definitely appreciate all the donations, the support, the promotion from other, on social media. Yesterday was a really interesting day with the Jets where it started off with good news. Captain CJ Mosley changed his contract up. Now you got 2 years, $17 million, saved the team about $14 million in cap space. And this is smart on so many levels. Obviously, CJ's cap hit this year was going to be too much, but he's the undisputed leader of this team, the heart and soul of the defense, and probably the team as well. And you'd like to see him keep him in the mix for 2 more years. And you'd like to see CJ Mosley win, man. This guy deserves it at this point. So hopefully, with Rodgers back, he can do that and then go on his way. Now, the problem, or not problem, the concern that you have the New York Jets now is a wide receiver group where going into free agency, the expectations were high for all of us, but you want to compliment to Garrett Wilson. You want to either a 1A or a high number 2 receiver to help get this offense rolling, right? So initially, everybody wanted Calvin Ridley, but you knew who's going to go to the highest bidder. He did exactly that. I think his numbers were ridiculous. What, $92 million? You know the Jets weren't going to pay him that, and I didn't want to pay him that as well. But as the other names played out, you're like, all right, is it the money? Is it the talent? Or do they want to play here? So, Marquise Brown was a guy that everybody kind of liked, speedster. And you're like, and his deal was 1 year, $7 million with the Chiefs. So you're like, well, the Jets can afford that. But if you're looking at a year to have a breakout year and put up big numbers, you're probably going to want to go to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, pad your stats and move on. Keenan Allen was a guy everybody liked. With the Chargers were in cap hell. Were they going to cut him? Were they going to release him? Well, cut him or release him. Were they going to trade him? Well, they traded him for only a 4th round pick. Well, I think what scared away the Jets was the enormous cap hit. I think it was like $18 million plus a $5 million signing bonus. So that's $23 million. That's not going to happen. Then you keep going down the line. A guy I liked a lot was Curtis Samuel. He goes to the Bills, 3 years, $24 million. And you're like, all right, the Jets can afford that. So why, was that something where they even in the mix? And every article you read, especially from like Zach Rosenblatt, is that the Jets are not going to be the highest bidder. They're going to give you your best offer, take it or leave it. Which at times to me can be arrogant because you know what? You have Aaron Rodgers coming off a major injury and you have historically one of the worst offenses in football last year. So you can only go so far with that. Other names we were talking about, I'm trying to think, Jerry Jeudy went to the Browns. I wasn't really interested all that much in him. I was more into Courtland Sutton, but it appears that he's not going to be traded now. So it's like the market is slowly drying up. And you're like, well, what do the Jets do now? So another guy high on the list of everybody was Tyler Boyd. He's still available. He's got ties to Pittsburgh. Apparently, it's coming down to Pittsburgh, the Patriots, and the Jets. Do the Jets kind of go a little bit? He's a consistent player. He's very good in the slot. How old is he? He's 29 years old. He kind of fits the mold. Will the Jets go that route? Mike Williams is a name that we're seeing a lot. He's cut, 30 years old, contested catch guy, can stretch the field, coming off an ACL, man. And it's just, you have concerns like, sometimes with receivers, it's like their first year back is kind of like they kind of slowly ease back into become the player they were. Then a year after that is when they really emerge. So is that the case with Williams? And how much money does he want in the open market? Another player is Beckham Jr., who the Jets were close to getting last year. The Ravens blew him away with an offer. And they only had, I think, 35 catches. So it's like, if Beckham comes at the right price, then you're like, you can consider it. But that's not really the piece that it's not that big, number 2 guy, 1A guy you're looking for. He's still, I think, a solid player to add a lot to your offense, especially with Rodgers. But I'm not sure that's the route you want to go. Trying to think, Marcus Valdes-Scantling and MVS. I always say his name wrong. I see that because he's got ties to Rodgers. And the only thing I could say about him is we didn't like Lazard. To me, he's the same kind of player. He drops the ball a ton. I know he had some big plays in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, but overall, the consistency is maddening for him, and I don't think that's something you want to pursue. So then you have the other one, which is a complete curveball yesterday, where Corey Davis has emerged, and it appears he's coming out of retirement. And that's an interesting guy because before he retired last year, he looked like he had good chemistry at Rodgers. He was working out Rodgers, on his own. And then he kind of had personal reasons, he retired. And now if he's coming back, it's like, all right, he knows the team, he knows the offense, he knows everything else. He's still a solid receiver. And the one thing is, like, before Rodgers came here, he was a frustrating guy because he had the untimely catches, he was injuries, he'd fall down the field. But you also got to keep in mind the offense and the quarterback too. You got to figure with playing with Aaron, he could be a much better player. I think, to be honest with you, I think he's better than Lazard at this point. And that was the one thing yesterday they talked about where it's like, well, if Alan Lazard's here, you can't have Corey Davis. To me, it's like, listen, Alan Lazard, the only thing he showed us is that he got that big fat contract and he went into his shell to the point where he was inactive. He wasn't even playing. And like, well, he could flourish under Rodgers. To me, it's like when it got hot in the kitchen, he melted. Right? That's what he did. To the point he wasn't even playing, and he was more known for kicking the soccer ball on the sidelines than he was for anything he did on the field. So to me, Alan Lazard shouldn't hold back the Jets assigning Corey Davis. If you want to trade him, if you want to cut him, I generally don't care. It's about getting your team to be the best they could possibly be. So if you're looking for options, you got to look at what? Boyd, Beckham. If Corey Davis comes back, he's a free agent now. What kind of money do you offer him? I think he had, what, $10 million. It was like a $10 million cap hit this year, so they got rid of him. But maybe would he take like a Hollywood Brown kind of offer? Like what kind of money is Corey Davis looking for? Other than that, I don't know really what you're going to look for at wide receiver. I mean, maybe a surprise trade. I know people have mentioned KJ Osborne. And this video is being filmed early Friday morning, so a lot of things could happen to this video. And then, obviously, if you don't find what you want in free agency, you can go into the draft. But does that change your first-round pick then? Do you say, you know what, instead of going offensive lineman, you go best receiver available? Or do you consider Bowers? And I don't know, I just wish the Jets, I'm hoping the Jets do something else in free agency so you have flexibility in the first round of the draft where you're not completely desperate. Also, you don't want to go into the season where your wide receiver group is Garrett Wilson and just a bunch of guys, and you're praying that Aaron Rodgers makes everybody better. Because prayer's never a plan. So let me know what you guys think. Are you concerned about the wide receiver group or not? I kind of spoke kind of fast in this video because I got to go to work, so I'll talk to you guys later.